I should probably turn down this music, eh? What's up? Sorry, I was... Oh, what am I drinking? I'm doing this first. So... Hey, how's this sound? B, is that music too loud? I think it's playing in the background. Maybe it's not. I think it was, but I don't think it is anymore. Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, there it is. A little background music. Cool. How's the video? We're trying something new today. We're doing a little something different. I suppose I could turn my phone around and can't hear music. What the heck? Can you hear the music now? I don't know if I have it set up to capture the music, but it's there. I can see it. That's something I'll have to work on as I get a little more sophisticated. What we got? 5 whole people. You did hear the music or you did not hear the music? Sounds like, if you heard the music, sounds like Home Depot music. That's what it sounds like. All right, what are we talking about today? We are talking about Spectrum. First, doing something different today. So streaming from OBS through the Sony with a little 16 millimeter f2.8 prime pancake lens. The thing is tiny. Yeah, all right. Theme music worked. That's good to know. Appreciate that. It's off now. Do we want theme music? I don't think we do. I think that would get monotonous. So the Sony is streaming through this Elgato thing that seems to be working pretty well on this old Core i3 crap hole PC that I built a long time ago. I got more memory to put in it, and I have a Core i7 showing up tomorrow that hopefully works since it's used, since this is an old socket. So we're going to try to improve things a little bit. The camera seems to be working pretty well. I don't see any issues. The stream is coming through okay. It looks like I'm streaming out at 3,500 kilobits per second, something like that. What's up, Brandon? So it should be pretty clean. Back there, you got some gigantic ass cat that came out of my kid's room, probably because the puppy was wanting to eat it. Over there, you got my Glowforge that I need to fire up. Actually, I need to do some work. Man, I already went pro, and then I came back. I won't forget yous. That's funny. We're gonna talk about Spectrum. We're going to talk, it is boxes and booze, right? So I got the booze covered, I got the topic covered, and I got a little box covered. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about little C-Chem matrix. And we're going to talk about what you want to talk about. But I think I want to talk about that first. So, oops, if you can hear that, it's my bad. I kept Flume open on my Mac to keep an eye on any Instagram messages that came in. So, I'll mute that a little bit, put that down so as not to bug you. What y'all want to talk about? End of the world. Toilet paper. How come people don't poop and get in the shower? End of the world's coming. We're all going to get sick. We're going to overwhelm medical services. There's a big-ass bug crawling on my ceiling. So we're going to buy toilet paper. America. No, it's probably the world, right? It's probably everybody. Everybody's going, woo! Go give me some toilet paper. Poop. Get in the shower. Seems pretty simple to me, right? I don't know. I probably shouldn't drink and stream. Oh, now the bug's flying around. Oh, it's a stink bug. There's a couple dimples in the ceiling for when the boy and I were watching the movie, and there was a stink bug up on the ceiling. We busted out his airsoft pistol, clobbered it. Those dents are still there. Uline ran out of toilet paper, huh? You know, I was at my local Army base today. I'm retired Air Force, so I can get on those things right. I got my ID card. I can roll onto the base and buy some cheap groceries and all that kind of business. They had toilet paper. Who knew? Shocker. Oh, sometimes I do a shout out. So dig it. Shout out to the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Historically, they have done once a year through our middle school a bay trip that involves no bathing. Kind of, you go out one day, you hang out a whole day, you come back the next day kind of thing. But you roll out there with some educators from the school. You roll out there with some educators from CBF, from Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and the kids these are all the kids that you would want at something like that. These are awesome kids. I was lucky enough to be able to travel on one of these trips with my son when he was in 6th grade, and that was a couple years ago. Hold on a second. Let me read this because I have a message held for review. That means it's good stuff, and they're swearing in it. Toilet paper is... Nope, not sharing that, but I might agree. So, shout out to the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. This year, the boy was going to go again, this time with my grandson because they go to the same school. Y'all do that math. And it got canceled because the end of the world's coming, which is a bunch of shit. I agree that it should be canceled, much the same way I agree Aquashella should be canceled. Reefapalooza should be canceled. You get these people together, you get too many people together, and it perpetuates a spread, and it stresses our medical system, and we're not able to keep up. And hell, everybody stole the toilet paper and the soaps, and that's supposed to keep your hands clean. Although my kid did a science project, you're better off washing your hands with warm, soapy water. We have proof. It's all too bad. But I agree this should be canceled. Total bummer for the kids. The play that I've been working on, right? The kids are out of school for a couple weeks. That play is delayed, potentially canceled. I don't know. Maybe they've already had their last day of school. I don't know. So we'll see how long that's going to last. And I'm out. I'm working from home for the next month. A whole month I got to work from home. Which kind of sucks because I'm generally kind of social at work. I'm socially awkward in like conventions and whatevers. But around the people I know, the people I work with, which are a whole bunch of cool people from a whole bunch of different walks of life, kind of sucks that I can't hang out. So maybe I'll Skype them, do stuff like that. Not enough chat going on. Come on, people, what you got? So just my opinion. Cancel all that crap. Everybody chill. Everybody get some good food. Wait for the grocery stores to refill. Go get some stuff. hang out, stay away from people, watch some TV, watch some movies, watch some YouTube, watch some Netflix. Yeah, and maybe I'll live stream more. I don't know. Is this valuable to anybody? Probably isn't really all that valuable. Spectrum. You want to talk about Spectrum? I want to talk about Spectrum. This should pop up, and you should be able to see this. But I got my boy Coxman over on Instagram, LOLing about something. Who knows what that was? So, oh look, the mouse shows up. See this? This is, and you can't see it, but I can see it. This is an yeah, I know, bruh. Hold on. Let me jump over to Instagram real quick, because he'll jump on. This is a dude I work with. Smart kid. Somebody I respect. Somebody I call my mentor, even though he's the age of my daughter, which puts him in his early 30s. Drinking and streaming on YouTube. Find me at How come it always corrects to Telegram? Come on. Alright, sorry. Let me see what's up. Yeah, I see that essential business. B2's Reef. First, I worked on the B2 Stealth Bomber. So I'll hold that B2 thing a little tight. All of the essential production personnel where I work, production, quality, some of the labs, and certainly maintenance, they are at work. I am not, because I am not day-to-day essential. And I agree. I'm kind of future essential, if anyone can consider themselves truly essential, I suppose, which is not everybody. So, talking about Spectrum. This is an XR30 Gen 3 running what looks to be a modified AB+. So, this is one of the ones that this is what I used to run over top of my display. What's up, Marlon? Marlon's my peeps. Marlon knows what's up. Marlon's probably still going to have to work because he's a busy man. But Marlon and I work together. Check him out at Instagram on Mac the Reefer. He is a new reefer, and he is getting into it. And he's an all-around good dude, and I've known him for years. So, what's up, dude? And Brandon, the B2, is a beautiful pig. That's a fun plane to watch fly. All right, back to this. So, this Spectrum, look, this is kind of what you want. Anywhere between, this is my opinion, anywhere between 420 and 470, you want some nice big old peak in there that generally hits around 450, 460. But that's a good quality Spectrum. All you need to grow corals sits between 420 and 470. Now, you can bust that out a little wider if you want, to maybe make it a little better. But all you really need is 420 to 470. The rest of it, I'd argue, is kind of for us, for people, right? Not necessarily for corals. Oh, I'm drinking some Stella cider. And I also got Plan B sitting over here. That's my third. And I should have brought another one up. This, now see the difference. See, we're going to be doing some of this. This is what is considered by some to be the legit standard for growing coral. This is an ATI Blue Plus that I personally measured because I have one running right now over that 20-gallon tank in the basement that I need to take down, but whatever. Note that it is basically 420. In this case, it's not really. It's probably 450 over to about 470. Note, it's not that different. It throws up some green and yellow, but whatever. Let me catch up real quick. What's up, Redneck Reef? Let's see. Let me see. Bahama Llama's on. What's up, Remy? Just got 2 55-gallon barrels to start making saltwater mixing station. Do you have any designs you think are good? Nope, but Remy does. Hit up Bahama Llama. No, wait. Is it you? Remy might have a solution, but hit up Pelfrey on Instagram. Pelfrey's got something similar chilling in his garage, and he might be able to help you out. I'm sorry to confuse the names there, fellas. So check out Pelfrey over on Instagram. Yeah, I have to work. Not as lucky as you. Dude, Marlon, I'd rather be at work. You know that. I think I can be more effective there, but I will give it a shot because I don't have a choice. And I do have toilet paper. So do you. So we're good to go. Oh, the bug landed in the light. So dig it. XR30 Gen 3 that used to be over the display and Blue Plus. Note that there's very little difference going on there, right? You know why? Because there's very little difference between the two. Oh, shoot. This one, what the crap. Did I get all the way? Oh, I got all the way to the end of the folder. I'm showing up the business. So something I want you to pay attention to is you see this 330 right there? I tried to take these readings at a relatively decent distance. It was about 12 inches. You see that 330? You see that 162? That's because the T5 ain't got enough oomph. So people will, and they totally should, because I think it's a good solution. People will roll with T5, realize that you got to stick a T5 fixture pretty close to the water to get it to shine as much light as you possibly can from those T5 bulbs, because they're really not all that bright. And then generally, a lot of those T5ers will add LEDs. They'll add 450, 470 nanometer reef brights. It's 2 LEDs on a reef bright, 450 and 470. They'll add those to a reef bright. Think about that. This is a Blue Plus right here. So they're adding 450, this peak, and 470, which is sitting right around here, to a T5. Only to add par, because the T5 really doesn't put out that much light as far as I'm concerned. LED's way hotter. It puts out way more light. So all you're doing is supplementing an existing spectrum with the same spectrum of higher intensity. I get the benefits of the T5. It's inexpensive comparatively, right? A T5 fixture, big old 4-bulb, ATI, something is way less than an XR30 or 2 or 3. So I get the value. But understand that the spectrum versus par thing, I mean, the spectrum's going to be good. You're going to know what you get because those ATI bulbs are all produced pretty much the same, and it's really decent spectrum. But you're going to need more light if you want to grow super colorful, generally, super colorful SPS. It's just something to consider. But all you're doing is adding more light. That's it. It's not like the corals are popping only because it's more par. It's not because of spectrum. Just keep that in mind. People don't know that. I don't know why. People also tend to run the actinic T5. This is the difference between actinic and a Blue Plus. So an actinic has a little more lower at 420. It's got that. It's bulbous and it has a peak up around 450, right? So it still has that same peak, but instead of the 470 side, they add a little more. They drop it and they add a little more to the 420 side. Does that make sense? That's the difference. Dig it. I measured all these personally. These are my graphs. How come nobody's chatting? Am I that boring? Y'all just leave this running and go off to dinner somewhere. I wouldn't blame you. I was talking with BJ Corals out of, I think, Cleveland. And he was talking about this DJ light that claimed to be UV. Nope, not UV. 404 nanometers. So right around 400 nanometers. UV, no matter what the big guys tell you, starts at 399 on down. Anything before 400 nanometers is UV. Anything from, oh hell, I don't remember what it is, 360, 320, somewhere around there to 400, that's called near UV. So if anybody references near UV being something that's getting close to UV, nope. Near UV means light that is near the visual spectrum. So whatever that is, and I can look that up if you really, really cared. But if they reference near UV as something close to UV, that's wrong. That's like saying order of magnitude. One of my peeves. Order of magnitude really means 10 times. People use order of magnitude to reference like a range. And then they add R in front of ROM, and they call that a rough order of magnitude, which means a really shitty range that they didn't put a lot of time into. Does that make sense? Non-near UV spectrum. This is boring. Yeah, 315. 315 to 400 is near UV. Next up. Boom. Gold standard for, as far as I'm concerned, because I don't yet have an Orphic, but I'm going to get one soon. Gold standard for the T5 people who need more light because their T5s don't put out enough light. So, that 144 number, that's crap because I was too far away to get legit. But what I want you to look at is, you see this? That's your blue plus. That's your Reef Bright. Looks pretty similar, don't it? Reef Bright is shifted up just maybe 10 nanometers, and then it sort of carries that same thing through all the way, right? That's what you're getting with a Reef Bright. You're getting 450, that peak. You're getting 470, that peak, added to that light, which already has the same spectrum. Just more power. Cool? AI Prime. Now, this is how I run the AI Prime over the frag tank that I like hardly ever talk about, and it probably needs to have the top thingy dusted because it's kind of a solid now. But I run two, y'all see my frag tank, right? I run two Gen 2 XR30s. I run this disco light, this DJ light, this inspect your house after there's been some buffoonery light in between the two XR30s. Underneath that, I run the Reef Bright. So two Gen 2s, DJ light, Reef Bright, and an AI Prime. That's what's sitting over the tank right now. Oh, that's good. The Reef Bright or the AI Prime is obviously the devil's light, given this business right here. But this is the spectrum that I selected based on that, which is the Gen 3 XR30. So I tried to get it as close as I could, and that's pretty close. But you'll notice all of these lights kind of have the same thing. In this particular case, this light has that 450 bump. It has a 470 bump that's a little low. And then it's got this sweet little red business going on right there that's really not all that necessary. Woo. Let's see. I lost my window. All right. XR30 Gen 2. All right. This is my Gen 2 running AB+. It's modified AB+. Gen 3. Gen 2. Kind of the same thing. They had a little 400 nanometer bump on the Gen 3. You can see it right there. That's really the only difference. You'll notice that the up here, 445 is kind of how it averages out. And here it's 442. Not that much difference between a Gen 2 and a Gen 3. Okay? So that all kind of makes sense. But still, look how AI Prime, Gen 2, right? Very, very similar lights. This is Gen 2. That's AI Prime. AI Prime versus Reef Bright. Very similar lights. Not that one, because that one's dumb. T5 versus that. You see the difference. The T5 actinic is lower, and that's what you expect from an actinic. It's a deeper blue. And then Blue Plus versus that. You see the difference. It's kind of the exact same thing, so whatever. A Reef Bright and a Blue Plus is damn near the same thing, except for that green and yellow. This is a cheap grow light that I used for Chaeto for a little while, but I don't use it anymore because I just use the Reef Brights and they grow just fine. You know why? Because grow lights have this big blue business going on right here, and Chaeto grows just fine under that blue. You don't need this red. Up to you, but you don't need this business. Just worth seeing. What do you think this is? Anybody guess what this is? If you follow me on Instagram, you might know what this is. 2 primes I was originally going to use because I had planned on buying a little smaller tank, but they won't do the job. Thinking of running them with an aquatic life hybrid. I would suggest, instead of running it with T5, that you run it with Reef Brights because it's the same thing, and you won't have to change the bulbs. And those Reef Brights will last forever, and you'll get the same light. Same thing. Actually, you'll get more par. So it's probably a better deal for you. 2 Reef Brights will absolutely produce the par of, as far as I'm concerned, 4 T5s. So buy 2 Reef Brights, figure out how to mount them up, and you can do that with 10 millimeter extruded aluminum, maker beam, check that out, and then you're done. And then you have a hybrid, whatever, 2 different LEDs producing some kick-ass light. Give that a shot, redneck. Oh yeah, it's still tasty. All right, this light here, that's the Blue Sensei. So Kim over there in the frozen north of Europe named my light the Blue Sensei. So what I did is I took some almost 420, but they're more like 430 nanometer blues with some 450 nanometer blues that I got from Rapid LED, and I made my own light fixture. So it's 2 different bulbs, giving me a pretty decent kick. That's XHO. Sorry, I've had 3-siders. XHO. Reef Bright. XHO. Those will totally do the job. So this is my homemade light. Note the big fatness that you kind of see here in the Blue Plus without the green. Note that it's fatter at the 430. My light kicks T5's ass, Spectrum's ass. My light totally covers the good spectrum that a Blue Plus produces. It's just a little more expensive to make. So these are all kind of the same, right? I mean, here's one that's different. Guess what this light is? You'll never guess. Kessel people. Oops. Kessel people will know. This is a Kessel A80. It does not have a lot of power. It's a tiny little, ain't got enough wattage in the cottage light, but it produces a very unique, very Kessel spectrum where you have a true UV that starts up below 380, kicks up about 390. This is one of the very few lights that has a legitimate UV. Then it's got this weird whatever this is, 420, 425, and then it's got this surprisingly high 460 instead of a 450. So here's how Kessels work. They produce this blue thing 100% of the time. And then if you have a knob that says color, so one's intensity, one's color. If you turn that color knob, all it does is start adding in all of the rest of the spectrum that looks like white to you. So it's the green, yellow, reds. But the blue is always there. That's how Kessel kind of makes it bulletproof. You need more Kessels to make the same amount of light. So if you got an XR15 and a Kessel A360X, same kind of power. So don't look at a Kessel A360X as an XR30. Ain't the same thing. AP700 from Kessel is more like an XR30. So you need two 360Xs to equal almost the oomph of a Gen 4 XR30. Gen 5 changes the game a little bit because now it's a panel instead of two pucks. And that panel is producing more light. But you get the Kessel simplicity. Kessel super, I don't want to say dumbs it down, but it simplifies the thing, right? Because the blue is always where the blue is supposed to be. I think they call that Kessel logic or something. All it is Kessel fixed spectrum, and then you adjust the white to make it look cool for your eyes. It also adds more power when you add that light, but whatever. But they fix the blue, and then you do some tweaking to make it look cool to you. Gen 2 less white. So yeah, I mean this is my Gen 2, a little less white over the frag tank, so no big deal. And that's it. I also have, and I did it today, so I can show you. Please hold. Y'all ain't too chatty today. Anybody got anything they want to talk about? Maybe it's me. Maybe I've had too much cider. Maybe y'all are in awe of the clarity of my stream. That's not it. For those of you who, what was I looking up? Oh, I was looking up pictures. For those of you that joined a little late, I am drinking, well, now I'm done with some Stella cider. I'm going to move on to what's next. This was good. Can you see this? You can see that. That's going to be blurry. So take a screenshot and take a look at that one. Notice that it kind of looks like everything else, right? And this is the Illuma Magic Blaze X Mini. Decent light. I would like to see the Blaze X Mini priced at around $189 to $199. I think you take that light and you undercut the AI Prime HD, and you have a really solid offering for a budget-ish light that produces really decent spectrum. As long as you dial it in right with plenty of power, that will totally grow SPS. I think it's worth taking a look at. I asked Delua to send me one. They were kind enough to, so I could test the spectrum to try to dial that thing into AB+, and I posted those numbers today, so take a look. It is installed over top of the work tank that I brought home, and it's been working really well. It's pulse width modulation dimming. So there's two different ways to dim. You just dim it, and that's 0 to 10, or pulse width modulation, which means the lights are flashing. A lot of modern lights are dimmed with PWM. They're flashing so fast you can't see them, but in this particular case, the Blaze X Mini is flashing slow enough that my camera can see it, which you normally don't see. But you don't see it. I got to assume the corals don't see it, and the spectrum's pretty solid, so something to consider. But I'm squarely in the Ecotech camp regarding lights. I really like those things. Let's see, let me read up on this right here. All right, Remy, check out rapidled.com. They have a whole lot of cool LED tutorials. I'll leave a link in the description. What I suggest you do is you just buy some of their LEDs. You don't have to buy the solder ones if you're legit with a soldering iron, and you should learn how to use a soldering iron. But if you're not, if you ain't got time for that because you're too busy making cool videos, buy the ones that just plug in with these little wires and make your own light. You'll need 20 millimeter extruded aluminum. You'll need thermal adhesive, which is a two-part kind of epoxy adhesive. And you glue the LEDs to the 20 millimeter aluminum, which is now your heatsink. You plug those little suckers together, light. Well, you need a power supply. So you get either a fixed driver or a dimmable driver. The Rapid LED dimmable driver comes with a rheostat, so you can manually dim it if you want. You could also hook it up to any controller that offers 0 to 10 dimming, and buy some stuff. I mean, you'll spend less than $100 on everything you need. 20 millimeter aluminum, extruded aluminum, thermal adhesive, LEDs, and Rapid LEDs dimmable driver, which will tell you how many LEDs you can drive if you go to the webpage. Is an X-Ray 30 G4 for $400 a good price? I dig the name X-Ray 30 G4 for $400. I paid probably $400 for my last used one, so it's a reasonable price. A good price would be $300. A reasonable price for a $750 light is $400. I think you should take a look at one if that's what you're interested in. All right, is everybody good with Spectrum? See what I got. See what I did for you. See what I got together. Gen 3 XR30. Blue Plus T5. Actinic T5. DJ UV, not a UV, 400 nanometer. DJ Purple. Reef Bright. I like Reef Bright. And I ordered an Orphic. And I have the black box light. So I'm going to do a comparison when that Orphic shows up. AI Prime, non-HD, but doesn't matter. It would have the same spectrum, just has more wattage in the cottage if it's an HD version, because you can shift around power that you ain't using elsewhere to the blues. Gen 2 XR30, red grow light, blue sensei, Kessel A380, or A80, sorry, A80. A380 is an Airbus. And my Gen 2 with less white. Okay, done with Spectrum. All right, finishing this. All of that Spectrum data is taken with the Upertech super fancy spectrometer that bulk resupply. It's the same device, same instrument. I talked to Randy at Reefapalooza in New York. I'm like, brah, y'all are awesome. I learned a lot from you. What spectrometer are you using? And Randy pulled it up on his phone. He showed me. I took a picture. And there we go. Boxes. Moving on to the next booze. Slumming it, people. Slumming it a little bit. A little Jack Daniels, Tennessee Honey. I believe when I drink that, I must have my pinky up. Woo! That does not pair well with cider. I can tell you that right now. My beef about Reef Brights, Orphix, or Black Box LED bars is that they don't do dimming. They just, you plug them in and it's on and off. You set it on a timer and poof, that's all you got. Current USA. I'll hold this mic right here so you can see it. Take a screenshot. Okay, that was good, right? Current USA makes a single ramp timer. That's freaking tiny. You plug this in, you set the time, you set your on and off times for your light, and that's it. And this thing will turn on your light, it'll ramp it up. PWM, it's blinking, but you can't see it. It'll ramp up the light to full power, and when you hit that off time, it ramps it down. 15-minute ramps. This is plug and play for a Reef Bright. And this thing's like $20, $25. I can't remember, but I could look it up. $25. Let's pretend it's that. I'll leave a link. I have this running on my Reef Bright downstairs. This is good for, I don't remember, 60 watts maybe, and a Reef Bright's 30, somewhere around there. I'm giving really bad information right now because I don't remember. But this cranberry sauce and iced tea. Like cranberry sauce and iced tea. Is that like peanut butter and no jelly? I can't remember. If you need a dimmer for your Reef Bright, do this. Totally works and it's cheap. If you need a dimmer for your Black Box from AliExpress or an Orphix and you're handy with some crimpers and stuff, do this. Otherwise, wait for my Orphix to show up. I'll figure out what plugs are on there, and I'll make these little adapters. And I'll tell you how to do it, or I'll sell them to you really cheap. Up to you. But if you want your Reef Bright, whatever bar to power up, ramp up, cook the hell out of your corals and make them grow, ramp down, turn off, this is your ticket. And it is cheap as F. So something to consider. Let me read. Last week I'm watching solar panel DIYs. This week's light. Bro, go buy some stuff. Get on Amazon. If you're home, you're stuck at home, spend some money, do some crafts. Nothing wrong with Jack. No. There's nothing wrong with who's it is? Redneck. Nothing wrong with Jack. Fine. But it's honey Jack. So you got to drink with your pinky up. Almost spilled it. That would have sucked. What else was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about moving the work tank. I don't think I have any pictures to show. So I mentioned it at the top of the stream that all non-critical day-to-day operations people where I work, we're out. We, because of the coronavirus, have been asked to work from home for a month, which I think is the smartest thing ever. First, some of you know I'm in pharma. Doesn't make me a health professional. Doesn't make me a doctor. But I am kind of a common sense kind of person. So if you limit your human contact, you reduce the spread of the virus, which allows medical services to keep pace with the spread of the virus, and it won't overwhelm them. I expect us all to eventually catch it, but we'll do so at a slower pace, which will allow those who are susceptible to succumbing to the virus in a worse way to be treated by the professionals, because the professionals are not overwhelmed. So if you have the opportunity to stay home and use the ton of toilet paper that you've purchased, do so, because ultimately it helps out everyone in society. That's an odd plea, but it's legit. And you can't prove me wrong, because it's the right thing to do. So there we go. There's a question about the work tank. Yesterday, my wife and I jumped in the car, went to work, stole a monitor from one of my coworkers and dropped it off to her. What up, Christina? And stole the work tank and all the trimmings. So everything I needed except for the big jug of purified water underneath the tank. I took all that stuff and I brought it home. And I went over to the store and I brought a cabinet that looks surprisingly nice. And I set the tank up off my kitchen in the room that we kind of chill in if we're eating or hanging out or whatever, if we're not in the basement. And the work tank is now set up there. So what I learned from moving, you need a bucket, a couple jugs. This is a 15-gallon tank, right? So it was really easy to move. So all I did was drain the water out, most of the water. I kept the fish in there. I moved the Monty that was in there into the bucket with a little bit of water. I saran wrapped the top of the tank, put it in the trunk of my car with all the rest of the crap, all the electronics and all that stuff. And I drove that sucker home. Set it back up on that stand, filled it back up, heated it up, decided maybe it needed a water change because I hadn't done one in like 2 or 3 months. Sorry. And I have auto water change on the system in the basement with an Apex dose, which is really loud, but it works well. So I took my reject water from the dose, the water, not reject, changed water, and I brought that jug upstairs and I drained out as much water as I had and I poured in that reject water or changed water, and that's good water, right? That's coming out of my system downstairs. It's really good water with all the right nutrients and all the right whatevers, all the trace, everything that you need to grow good corals is in that water. So that's my water change water now for the month that I'm home, if I take that tank back to work, but I will. And all I do is drain the water out, dump in my removed water from the system below. So I get an extra round of recycling of that water, which helps a little bit, I think. What's up, Dar Sanchez? Let me get through a couple questions here. So really, no issues moving that tank. I didn't spill anything. Everything survived. Everything looks good. I set the light back up. I set the heaters back up, heater controller. I have the SLW10 Jabo pump on that thing, which works. It's great. It's super low profile, pushes a lot of water. It looks really good. It slows when the lights turn out, so at nighttime that pump slows down like you kind of want to happen. Everything works great. So now it's in my house for a little bit, and maybe it'll grow a little better. So what I want to do is scape it. I want to add some rock to it and put some SPS in there because I think that light will grow some SPF. So I want to give it a shot with good water. All right, let me catch up. Sorry. Covered the work tank. Shut down gatherings over 200. Yeah, we're shut down over 250. Schools are closed for 2 weeks, and I'll believe that. See, schools shut down for 6 weeks. I believe that. I think that's the right thing to do. I think schools will not reopen in 2 weeks here, but that's just a guess. I'm hoping to get that word from work tomorrow. Yep, I think that's the right thing to do. If you can work from home and your boss is cool and will let you work from home, work from home. That's not panic. That's not nothing. That's just common sense. How many hours a day should T5s be on for? If it's Sorry. If it's just T5s, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to measure the spectrum of my Ocean Revive T247 because I bet that's a pretty interesting spectrum on that light. How many hours a day should T5s be on? I keep my lights on for 12 hours a day. If you're shifting between T5s and LEDs, I don't think you have to do that unless your coral can't handle the par of the LEDs. So if you're asking me how long you should keep your lights on, anywhere between 8 to 12 hours. I normally run a 12-hour cycle, kind of always have, and I haven't had any problems. So run them 12 hours. Now, you have to have a way to reduce algae because you may grow algae. I have utilitarian fish that take care of that for me because they're lawn mowers. They just crush anything algae. Hopefully the work tank is on. All right, now look, don't be hating B2. It's not a refrigerator. The tank downstairs, the 20 long, is not on a refrigerator. It's on my kid's tea cabinet, punk. And it's absolutely on 2x4s, which is sketch, and I own that. And it's still down there. So what I want to do is I want to escape the work tank and pull the crap that's out of that tank and put it in the work tank. Then I can pull the 20 this week. That would make me happy. It's been up since September. I've risked the life of a gaming computer and some of my basement and maybe everything in my tank because there's no way to shut off that pump that's moving water back and forth. And maybe it's time for that 20-gallon long to go. Refrigerator, please. It's my kid's tea cabinet. I once moved a 2-foot tank full stretch film and water. Yep, that's the way to do it. Put some wrap over the top of that. They shut down all restaurants and bars. Dude, no way. You have no restaurants and bars? Wait, you're not in Illinois. You're in St. Louis? But Illinois shut down? Did you all see what the Illinois governor wrote on Twitter? I get that he's a Democrat and all, and I'm not going to get political here because I don't roll like that. But he laid it out there. All right, B2, I will read your lights. And are you on Instagram? Do I DM me on Instagram so I know it's you. And I'll send you the spectrum data from the Ocean Revives. I love home Illinois. Oh, you live on the Illinois side. I gotcha. Roger that. I went to tech school in Chanute, which is close to Rantoul, which is close to, oh, hell. No, I can't remember. Somewhere out in the boonies in Illinois. Note I know how to say it. That was a good school. Random thing. So I am a MarinePure guy. Always have been in the display tank. I think that has served me well. Between that and carbon dosing, it's done me good. I can't do this. Can I do this? But you see that little... Oh, this is sweet. I'm going to have to use this in the future. See that little tank right there? Oh, don't throw up now. What I did is I floated a mesh bag of Seachem Matrix in my display downstairs so as not to get any aptasia or crap on the matrix. Let it sit down there for a month or two. Peoria. No, crap. I've been drinking, so I can't remember anything. Champaign, Illinois. I've been drinking. Yeah, look up Rantoul, Illinois. That's right there where the school used to be. Look, MarinePure have been accused of leaching aluminum. And I have done multiple tests that show that I don't have aluminum in my tank. So your mileage may vary. Is that where University of Illinois is? Champagne? So, what I'm hoping is that the magic that's downstairs has just transitioned to the magic that will be this tiny little tank. And so far, it kind of looks like it. Theoretically, it's already cycled. Theoretically, I shouldn't have to do anything. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, how do I hit it? How'd I do? Theoretically, that tank is cycled. So I should be able to just stick stuff in there. And that is the Pixie 30, which I probably have spectrum data on. That actually looked really good. Similar to an AI Prime, but in the form factor of Kessel. So whatever. What I like to do is get all these... I shouldn't because I have too many lights now. What I like to do is get some of these lights, test them out, and give you the data. So maybe you can make a decision based on your needs and your budget and your whatever. So Moki's going to bring over some lights that he has. I think he has a Current USA. I think he has, I don't know. I'll see what he brings over. And I'll take some reading and I'll provide that information. And maybe give you guys some options. Y'all some options that maybe you hadn't considered. Let's see. Oh, just because I sneeze doesn't mean I have corona. Freaking Europeans. See, that's where we go with it. That's it. That's my boxes. That's my booze. I just threw a bag of PhosGuard in my sump. Yep. So how much PhosGuard did you put in there? Because you got to be careful. So as soon as you throw that, I have PhosGuard. I've used it. When you put that in your sump, make sure you're testing phosphates every day because it's going to do a really good job of pulling phosphate out of the water, and you don't want to go too far. It's also aluminum based, so back to that leaching metals and the I just went brain dumb. Look at that. You see how that works? Whatever. Pay attention to... Actually, you don't have to worry about that because it's really not going to be that much. Just keep an eye on your phosphates. Don't let them get too low. What are your phosphates now? Why'd you throw it in there? Who asked that question? Gecko Echo. Cool name. I use MarinePure. There we go. Yeah. Sorry, MarinePure. 2 massive blocks. Hydrolumen show up once. ICP test. Cleared out water changes. Yeah. I had no bad metals show up with my MarinePure spheres. So, I don't know. I think if you just leave them in there, just let it roll. I think it'll clear up if it does happen to leach. I don't think it's anything. ChemiPure Elite. So we can talk about ChemiPure Elite. You want me to talk about ChemiPure Elite? Because it is PhosGuard. Basically, it's PhosGuard and carbon. That's all it is. So it's phosphate removal media and some carbon. That's all it is. So you can buy PhosGuard and activated carbon and have the same stuff. But it's cool that it comes in those little pouches. Unless you buy the bulk stuff. It's supposed to treat 60 gallons, and I have a 60-gallon system, so I figured it would be okay. Yeah, but it's going to... It is okay. There's nothing wrong with PhosGuard, and I've had a lot of success with that. More success with it than GFO. GFO I can't get right, and it kills my stuff. It looks like Delua International just posted one of my businesses. But only use the PhosGuard when you need it. If your phosphates get too low, below 0.02, pull that bag. Or pull some out of that bag. Just be careful with it because it'll totally strip phosphate from your tank. And then your tank's going to be pissed at you. Base all of that kind of stuff on testing, not on directions. If you have the ability to test something that the directions are suggesting, then absolutely do it. Okay? Don't just blindly drop it in there and hope you're doing the right thing. 0.5. Yeah, dude. Assuming you're a dude, I apologize if you're not. Hey, John. How are you? John is the master of CMOS, which is the Chesapeake Marine Aquatics, blah, 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 blah. He'll type it. But it's one of the local reef clubs here. What's up, Seth? 0.5 is pretty high. Maybe around 0.1 is where you want to hang out. Maybe a little less than 0.1 based on your system. I always target 0.1. I'm sitting at 0.09 right now, and I am pretty safe. So, yeah, 0.5 is cool. Gecko Echo, just be careful with how much you put in and how long it's in there. If you drop phosphates too quickly, it'll piss off your tank. You just have to be careful with it. You just have to, and take your time. Don't expect anything to happen overnight. eShop's biomedia compared to MarinePure. I haven't used eShop's biomedia. This is cool little stacks, which I think is a sweet form factor. I don't have them. Haven't used them. Others have had good luck with them. I think it's all kind of basically the same thing. It just comes down to form factor, and I like that eShop's form factor. I think that's pretty cool. You're on the Eastern Shore, so why don't you, you can join B2. You're on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. You can absolutely join CMAS, CMAS, or WAMAS, WAMAS. Chesapeake Marine Aquarius Society, CMAS. Good group. They hold local meets here. And WAMAS is also a really good group. Just because you're on the other side and you're lucky enough to be close to Pacific East doesn't mean you can't join the groups over on this side of the bay. Yeah, see, there you go. You know what would be interesting to know is where all those little balls are made. Savage. I bet there's a fairly tight community of manufacturers that make that media, and I wouldn't be surprised if they all came from the same place. So yeah, B2, CMAS, join. WAMAS, join. Get them both because they both have their benefits. And really, you're going to be out like $40 for a year. It's good money. It's good money spent. 20 minutes from Pacific East. Come on, man. I like that place. Plus, they have all those cool dogs. I take my kid. He loves that. It looks like they're starting to sell again. I guess they had a fire. Hopefully, you got that all fixed up. That's it. That's all I got. What do I got to talk about? Work tank. Pico tank. It looks like it needs a little bit of water, maybe. I got to get an ATO for that, and I don't have an optical ATO, and I think that'll be my first. The work tank has a JBJ, and that has worked really well. ICP. So I just got my ICP results. This is from Seth, and it shows that I have high levels of tin and low levels of copper in the tank. Is there a good way to remove it? There's some sort of filter media that works well. If anybody knows what that is, I think Moki has used it. Hit up the Inappropriate Reefer. Ask him. He may know. He may be able to share what that information, what that media is. I haven't had that issue. You would think with all those freaking magnets in my tank, that maybe I would have run into that by now, but I haven't. Those things are coated really well, so I've been super lucky. But there is some sort of metal removal mat stuff that you can buy and stick in a high flow area and maybe pull some of that stuff out. Do you have an idea why the tin and copper is in the tank? I would check all of your magnets, whether it's power heads or anything that's holding anything to the side of your tank. Yeah, that's it. B2 nailed it. Whatever that stuff is. And Mac threw out polyfilter, so check that out too. Check those two. That Cooper Sorb, I think that's the one that rings a bell for me, but absolutely check out both those recommendations. Those peeps are helping you out. Redneck, yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I'm a MarinePure guy, but only because that's all I've ever used. I'm interested in the eShop stuff, but I haven't had the opportunity to throw that in a tank yet. And I'm using Matrix in the Pico over here because I soaked it in the sump downstairs forever. So, oh, this is tricky. Look at that. Wow. You get a nice shot of my scanner. How's this work? That's not going to be like that. There we go. I mean, my shredder. Water source for tin. Yeah, interesting. If you do an ATI ICP test, then you could take your tank water and your source water, send that in, and they'll do an analysis of both, and you can check your source water. So that's great recommendation from Remy, Bahama Llama. I checked all the magnets, cleaned my pumps, everything looks good. Yep. Then totally doing ATI. What ICP test did you do? This isn't real time. My bad. Hey, how's this stream look? This look okay? Oh, boy. You didn't need all that, did you? Woo! Got a little extra focus action going on. What do I have over here? I got nothing. We've already talked about all that stuff over there. Yeah. I wonder if you did an ICP analysis, because that just does tank water. Or if you did... oh, whatever. I'm brain dead, so I can't... Yeah. Triton. Got it. Hey, Seth, did you do Triton recently? And did it go to unique corals to get analyzed? If so, how long did it take you to get Triton results back? But like I said, ATI... Well, yep, there it is. ATI will do source water. If you missed it, I know this is half of this is booze. Stella cider and Pinky Up Jack Tennessee honey. Welp, I think I've been on for a while. So I think I might wrap it up. Any questions about Spectrum? Anything that maybe you saw and didn't necessarily understand? Because I'd be happy to talk through some of that stuff. Like this here Blue Sensei, which is a pretty fancy looking little light right there, ain't it? If I don't say so myself. Oh, see, that's good. That's good information, Seth. Thank you. So you sent the Triton test out Monday and had results Saturday. So now that's comparable to ICP analysis, which used to go to, which still does go to Colorado. Triton is, I think, the most expensive, and you pay for shipping. ATI is free shipping and kind of middle expense-wise, and ICP analysis is the cheapest, but you pay for shipping. So, but ATI tests source water, so I think that's the best value of the bunch. I almost coughed. All right, you want to see what a spectrometer looks like? Because I can show you. This is what BRS uses. They never really show you the device, right? It's a sucker right here. I'll pull it back here. And I don't want to do a dark calibration because I've previously done it. I'm going to take a spectrum reading of that light, which is the light that's aiming at me. And that's what it looks like. So you get spectrum data right away. So that spectrum you see over to the side of the blue sensei, that's where I got that data. Fancy little device. All right. I suppose that's it. What time is it? Holy crap, it's almost 9 o'clock. I think I'm going to mount up that black box bar, that LED bar, on my Radions downstairs in a frag tank. Maybe tomorrow. But tomorrow I'm officially working from home. So I can't get too schnockered, even though my coworkers won't see me. I still have to feel good, right? All right, y'all. That's probably it for me. I hope you have a good night. I hope some of this information was helpful. Totally feel free to hit me up, and I will explain any of the information I provided. I can provide any of these graphs. I can DM this stuff to you so you can see what they look like, so you can learn from the data that I've captured. I think some of this data is super valuable. It shows you the differences between the lights. More importantly, I think it shows you that there isn't a lot of difference between the lights. Ultimately, it comes down to proper spectrum and intensity. And as long as you're getting the proper spectrum, then you work up that intensity. So, all right, y'all. Have a good night. Happy reefing. And be kind, everyone. And stay safe, will ya? The voodoo virus might get you, but you'll be okay. Don't lick anybody's keyboards, because that would be a dick move. Okay, have a good night. Bye.